Okay, first of all, thank you guys for coming to first game lab. So we need a slow start. What does this practical game lab do? Is a pretty, as you can see, student organized event where we understood there's like a big thing that is lacking in terms of game studies and engineering is the opportunity to do practical experience. We learn a lot of things from academics, but it's the time where we could start grouping with friends, trying and learning from each other. And to share why it's so important in this event, created by Michele, he's actually not here, but thank you. So he came up with this idea, so thanks him for organizing all this. But the reason why we try to think of creating a practical experience is to think maybe we want to meet up with each other and find some creative minds and different people from the fields and merge together and work as a team. Who knows, future will be a project together, and that's like the opportunity we're seeking right now. So the basic purpose of this game lab is for letting us to be active, creative for a couple of hours together. Mostly in a relaxing environment. I hope all the food we provide, probably we play some music, I don't know. Yeah, and it's to create this environment that we can develop and ask people questions. People like, I didn't study programming at all. Let's be honest here, I don't know Unity. But I learned most of the things about modern art and design. And you can ask me, I have all the notes in my laptop. You can come to the back on the circle table where I will expose all the knowledge you kind of need, if you need from me. And I'm glad to help, obviously. We try to encourage to create prototyping. We're not here to make a full-fledged game where we will make $1 million, hopefully, yes. But we're doing some experiment here. We're trying to make something that we will enjoy with everyone and say, maybe develop onwards. The last thing is also very, very important for us developers, I think, is to practice presentation. Not just be proud of our product, but also showcasing them, kind of marketing them, and say, hey, here's my game, are you excited? And the second part is the best, where you receive criticism, constructive ones, where they're like, hey, I don't find this game funny. And you ask them why, and you listen, change based on that. It's like the opportunity for friendly help from each other and to progress. I think that's the beauty about this program. At least that's when I agreed a lot on this idea. What we're gonna use for the prototype, Michele will be demonstrating pretty soon. We're gonna use Unity. I don't know how to use Unity, as I said, no problem. There is helpers who would spend a lot of hours helping us, teaching how it works, as long as about the game ideas, which also will be presented very soon after. And okay, it's your time to show.
Okay, so as mentioned, we will be starting over a prototype where you will build upon doing whatever you want. And this is the prototype that has been prepared for today's lecture, like finished 5 or 10 minutes ago. And the idea of the prototype is that there is a main character, well, a player, sorry, and a few NPCs. Okay. And a few NPCs that can have multiple possible behaviors. It's already been implemented, both a behavior where they chase the player and a behavior where they are chased by the player. For example, here now they are set to chasing the players, so let me make everything bigger. I hope you can see. Now I will change the enemy behavior to one where they are chased, and also that when they are not chased, they just stay still. So that, as you can see, there are multiple options. Even the ones of you who have no experience at all in stay still. Yes, there is a bug. A bug will be fixed in a moment. Don't worry. Okay, no, they are standing still now. Go away. Well, as you see, there are multiple things you can do. There are multiple game objects that you can move, you can remake the map, you can change the speed of everything, all the settings, all the parameters. As I said, you can change the behavior of these NPCs. You can make them run away, or you can make them come to you. You can change the movement speed and how much momentum they have. You can choose whether they chase you or are chased by you. You can choose if they run away from you or they run to the closest obstacle. Well, this second thing has not been implemented yet, so you can also implement this one if you're good at programming. I will also try to do it while I'm here. You can choose whether they have some type of trigger, so that they only start chasing you when they get close to you, or they only start running away from you when you are close to them. And of course the distance of it, and other parameters that you will have fun implementing. Not implementing, trying out. And is there something else?
Yeah, of course, you can do what you want. We also have provided a bunch of extra assets. So if you feel like making a different type of enemy, maybe some saw blade that the player needs to dodge. I'm not sure if they're all already in the project, like the things Anya sent.
I will put them now.
Again, soon. So yeah, you can pretty much feel free to do whatever you want. It's best to have something in mind that you want to get out of this practical lab. Like, I want to learn or try to do this, and then we will try to help you as best as possible. And then there's one more slide, I think. Yeah, these are some possible ideas of what you can do. For example, you can make it that you need to catch as many as possible within a certain amount of time. You can make the game a horror game by adding lightning and making sure the player can only see within a certain radius. You can give the player a gun, why not? And have them shoot enemies. And basically, be creative, do what you want, and we will try to help you. Then, I think the showtime part. And then finally, we will round off the game lab with everybody giving a little short presentation slash explanation of what they did, so that you can share with other people what you worked on, and you can also get inspired by other people's work process. And this is something very casual, like you don't even need to prepare anything, you just need to be like, hey, this is what I tried to do, this is what I did, this is what I learned, and we can all learn from each other that way.
The idea here is use your skill set, use it at the best you can to do whatever you want, whatever you think that it's could be a better fit or a better improvement to the game, and then tell to the others why you think that would be the better modification you could do. And this is it. Have fun.
We need to show them the GitHub repository.
Okay, well, raise your hand if you don't know how to use GitHub or what GitHub is. Okay.
Oh, only one person.
Only one person, so we can explain just to you. We're going to give you the link to the GitHub repo so that you can download this project. I'm going to put it on Discord.
Okay, there you can find the project files. Yes?
So if I have the right, we have to pull the project and modify some segments of it, yeah?
Yeah, like you prefer. You
can expand on the game however you want, and at the end you can even work together with other people.
It's already been coded.
You can add and modify the code as much as you want if you're proficient with that. You can
just at the start point.
Okay, with programming.
I'm a beginner.
Okay, whatever you feel like doing. If you want to just play with the design of the level and create a level that is big and I don't know, smart in its creation, that's fine. If you want to create a new game mechanic, you can do that. That's fine. You can do whatever you want that you feel like would be improving it.
If you're also more art oriented, you could make your own assets for the game, draw.
You can make music for the game.
You can try to make music for the game. Basically, set up your own goal or pick any of the suggestions, and then we'll all share what we've done and maybe learn from each other a little bit.
If you want to practice game design, you could also try to write a game design document for this game. So figure out what mechanics you want to have in the game and how it should look, and then you can write short presentation on that. It's really up to you.
Whatever you want to do, we can help you. If, for example, you're an artist and you don't know how to implement the art, we will show you how to. So.
This is the spotlight / presentation / sharing is caring part. Everybody has to pay attention, and I will start and then I will randomly grab one of you who will have to do the same thing. Okay, starting with the prototype I gave you, one thing that I wanted to implement from the start, but I didn't have time, is a obstacle-based behavior for the NPCs. Basically, when I chase the NPCs, so far the behavior will just run away from the player. Now they will follow they will look for the closest obstacle and go on the opposite side. Let me give you an example. What? I can show you with the gizmos the path that they choose. Okay, to explain easily what I did, I used algebra to detect the distance between the player and the NPC, and detect the distance between the NPC and the closest obstacle using a raycast function in Unity. The raycast function, for the ones of you who don't know that, it's a physics-based function that, in my situation, for the function that I used, throws a sphere, a circle around the character, and using a for loop, I created increasing spheres to find the closest obstacle, and found the closest obstacles. I add that vector, the distance vector between the obstacle and the NPC, the distance vector between the player and NPC, add them together, and something more, and they will go on the know where to go on the other side of the obstacle. This is everything I did. Now, another thing I did that wasn't there before, but this is very simple. Originally, the character, when directed to any way, would then stick back to the right. This was because the rotation was based on the velocity. Now it's still based on the velocity, but I checked that when there is none, to keep the previous position. So in this way, it doesn't snap back to right. I uploaded everything to the main, so you can just download those specific assets back, and you will have the project on the same level as mine. And it was my part. Okay, who wants to show something?
Alrighty.
So, me and Rafin, we made a very cool moving wall. Guys, pay attention, it's a cool moving wall. Okay, yes.
Everybody who doesn't pay attention will be punished.
Exactly.
Physically.
I want to be punished.
No, but not in a good way. Your grades will go down.
So, as you can see, moving wall. Very cool. So how we did this is by we have a script that has a move speed and a move distance, and then we wrote a little bit of code that is gonna, in the fixed update, move the thing to the right. It keeps track of how much it moved, and if you move touch, it's just gonna turn back. We spend most of our time on making sure that we understand Unity and getting used to coding and stuff. But I think it's a pretty cool script to start off with.
Okay. Why did you want to do the moving wall?
Shooting game maybe.
Okay.
It's gonna be a challenge.
So you're planning to do a shooter, and
Yeah.
maybe in the next presentation that we will do in the second half, you will show us also some shooting mechanics.
Yeah, maybe first time for any object we want to moving, we get the rigid body, and the rigid body in here we have three options: dynamic, kinematic maybe, And dynamic have gravity, and for the moving ball we didn't need that. So we set it in kinematic maybe. And then I learned from my friends. We have difficult type of void updates and fixed updates. When we want to fix it in any computer, because about the frame rate and the time, we use it fixed update. And then for component, we have two section about move speed and move distance, and then we think about the horizontal movement. And if I'm saying right, we use new vector tree to move our object, and then we have distance for traveled. This object can print any movement. So here, if you want to explain it,
What?
about the move distance.
Okay, so basically we need some way to tell that the moving wall has traveled a certain amount of distance, because of course we want to turn it back. So we made a cool variable here called move distance, and we're gonna say, okay, if it traveled 5 units, we want to turn back. So in the code, after we moved the thing through the transform, we also count the absolute value of our move speed to our distance traveled. Then we have an if statement, and we say if distance traveled is larger than our move distance, we're gonna multiply the move speed by -1. So instead of doing plus the movement speed, it's now gonna do minus the movement speed. And we also reset our distance traveled back to 0, so that it can detect again when it moved the same distance to the opposite side. And I think that's all that we add to our script.
So thank you so much.
Now, I think that we can also wait there, you two. Haha. I think that we can also do, and I actually encourage everybody doing, is to giving possible ideas to. Never mind. Give possible ideas on top of the ideas of consideration. For example, basing on your implementation of the moving wall, you have it going right and left at the same speed. Mm-hmm. But usually in games, when you have moving walls of some type, you have a little bit of momentum or damping. For example, when you get closer to the edge, it slows down, and then it goes faster in the middle. Have you thought about implementing something like that?
We can.
Move the character can move through it? Can it be like maybe as a killer wall? It's like
So it can be
So
like
it
that squishes the character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be a really nice idea actually.
Okay.
I suppose that you can do everything without logical component, writing a function that is a scene function probably, and without changing with a if, you can technically do it. But it's more a mathematical approach of that. Usually I prefer to
Yet
go
it's another
with
idea.
mathematics because it's faster.
Yeah, you can definitely use a wave function to get the movement right.
Okay. Does anybody else want to say something? Okay, and thank you. Making as screen as possible. This is my job.
Okay, you present with me and the answer.
Yeah. You have to tell us what are you doing?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Okay, why are you trying to do what you want to do?
Okay,
And what have you learned? Because in your situation, since what you're doing now most is to learn stuff, explain us what you learned.
yeah. Basically, that Unity is a glitch. No, I can't really show anything at the moment because Unity is stuck in safe mode because it's not cooperating. We had a lot of trouble with trying, first of all, install Unity and installing all the packages. But basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to convert Michele's program into a data-oriented tracing stack. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with object-oriented programming.
I'm not. What is?
Basically, object-oriented programming is structuring your code like it's a way of thinking of how you write code. It's basically, if I need something, I will think of it in terms of objects. For example, if we were to create a traffic simulation, we would think, oh, what does traffic have? It has roads,
it has cars, it has streetlights, for example, and you will try to model those things individually, and that is object-oriented programming.
And that it's really, really similar in the way which we think as human. It's more easy for us to think the code as a set of objects and boxes, and for that we created the oriented object programming.
But we are trying to do this in a data-oriented way. Now I'm going to try to explain this as simply as possible, but it's not that easy. It's basically a way of not doing it like that and making it so that the compute, because the problem with object-oriented programming is that it's very inefficient for a computer. It takes a lot more time for the computer to do something than it would in data-oriented programming. But then again, the downside of data-oriented programming is that it's a lot harder for humans to understand what's happening. So basically, do you want me to give a quick overview of what data-oriented programming is, or is that too complex?
I want to.
Okay.
I want to listen.
Okay, so basically what happens is you kind of split, you define a world in which your code is going to live, and then you have entities and components. Basically, you categorize your entities based on which components they have.
Use Excalibur if you want to.
Yeah, but I can draw, but I think it might be easier if I use these these are from Unity themselves, so I'm gonna try to use this. So basically, what are the components? It's basically decides what this entity can do. So for example, you could have a movement component, or a shooting component, or an eating component, or stuff like that. It kind of defines what this entity is. And so, no, I needed this!
Oh, sorry. Oh, I can open a new page.
But I need it for here, because it's plugged in, yeah.
For the demo.
There's
the magazine. Yeah, the magazine.
Oh yeah, we can show that in a bit. So basically, you have these archetypes, and they categorize all the components all the entities together with the same components. So these are all the same components with ABC. These all have the components AB, and these then have all the components AC. So you would, for example, here have enemies that can run, jump, and shoot, but here you would only have enemies that can run and shoot. While here you would only have enemies that can run and jump. And this way, it would make it very easy for the computer to basically, when it needs to compute, like for the next frame, how far the enemy has moved, it can just go left to right, because all the components are located next to each other in memory, so it can just go left to right and quickly change everything. But I can already see some confused faces. This is kind of harder for humans to understand. In normal object-oriented programming, the computer would just go each object and just check them one by one, while here it can just easily go into memory, which, I don't know, I might be going a little bit too in depth. Yeah.
Speak about the memory chunk, and
basically, it's a lot more efficient, but a lot harder for humans to understand.
Okay then.
And
So is this solution specific to Unity, or have you seen it before in other programming languages?
The thing is, it's like a paradigm, so it's a way of thinking how to code, but we are using dots, or we are using Unity dots, which is specifically made for Unity, to work with the Unity engine. But it's an idea of structuring code, so you can also use Unreal, but they would have to have a different implementation for you to work with.
But the logic
kind of design pattern.
Yeah.
The logic is the same, or very similar.
And it's called ECS system.
And actually, a lot of coding language have this type of logic that can be implemented. The most fundamental things, if I understand it right, is that they need to have some way to have immutable data. Like it's important that the data is not mutable and so on, but it's something that you can implement with library and so on. Sorry.
Yeah, I just kind of want to say, what is the advantage of dots, for example, to make it easier understandable for what the project that Michele is doing? You have, how many enemies do you have in the
So far 6.
6. I think it's easy to understand. If you were to add 100 enemies, the game would start to slow down, because each enemy would have to find its own path and make its own calculations. This way, it should technically allow you up to 10,000 enemies in a single thing without slowing down the frame rates. So I think that's the most easiest way of showing you why it's more efficient.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can test both scenarios before jumping into developing them?
Can I add something
Yeah.
about that?
Yes, Unity has a component called window called Profiler that traces all the performances in Unity. If this was
So there's a testing library for Unity. Yeah?
It's not a testing library. It's a window that literally keeps track of how much memory Unity is using for every single game object.
But with the most interesting things of dots, that is, you can use object-oriented programming and dots together in the same project. That is the most interesting.
That's kind of what we're trying to figure out now as well.
Exactly. Because it's really specific for some elements of a game. Usually, you don't want to use dots for everything for now, and for that you can blend with the usual way to do the stuff, and it's more easy. And other application of that is incredible is for multiplayer. You can have a huge packet of data with a low latency thanks to this way of program, and also for large maps. We talked with Jay of that. Jay know better that things, and for create bigger maps. And also for procedural stuff, it's also useful because you can code and process a lot of data really fast. Can we show the demo of Unity?
Sure we can, but I don't know if it's.
You have a time for 1 second demo?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, why not?
Okay, because it's called the Mega City.
Yeah, but I'm looking for the.
I mean, the only thing that somebody will have to show us later is animated. So
Yeah.
we do have time.
Mega.
But I'm looking for the
Oh. Yeah.
video.
This is the demo that Unity created to show up these things because it's really new. It's like only the last version of Unity or the two last have these things.
Have you checked if it is in the Unity version that we are using right now?
We converted it.
We converted
Okay.
it. But in your version, you have the 0.8
Okay.
something down. The 1.2 it's only in the new version.
While he looks for it, I'm gonna make the most awful question possible. Do you think you will be able to implement even only an aspect of this in 2.5 hours?
In 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. The main thing is basically we have to just
attention to the presentation, please.
we just have to restructure the classes of the enemies or the player into a entity. So we basically just have to convert it. And once we do that, then it should work in a DOTS format. But that's now the hard part because we can't use classes. Like classes are not a thing in data-oriented programming. So we just kind of have to convert it now. But it's possible. It's gonna have a lot more limited functionality in the time that we have.
And the compiler is strange. And the most difficult thing is learn that stuff, not implement it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
DOTS stands for what?
data-oriented tracing stack. I think.
Tracing stack.
Yeah.
This is it's not a render, it's like in-game.
You can run this on your own computer.
Yeah, in every computer, that is the incredible things.
Impressive.
The quantity of data that these things can render, it's incredible.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
So these all have their own logic and pathfinding and stuff.
But in DOTS.
Pathfinding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the impressive part of it. It's like it can do so much. I mean, I think this is pretty simple pathfinding, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the fact that they use dots to render the various objects, it's also something for the optimization of games is incredible. And these things work also with ARM architecture, that means that work also for cell phone.
Okay.
I think that's.
And you can touch all of them. They're like real objects. They're not background rendering stuff, like they're real objects that you can count and touch.
They're game objects.
Good thing that work on phone too. Last year I created Okay then.
So what you want to know?
You have to tell us what you're doing and why.
Okay, so what I'm doing.
Please attention to the Aerocon master.
What?
Aerocon.
So it all started when I noticed that AI enemies from the templates were pretty much interested in my character. So much that they were following me around, and you know, it felt like we were friends already. So I wanted to focus on first on the friendship aspect, and then why not put it like
a deeper relationship.
into a deeper relationship. But so it went into you know, I united a bit the keywords from this session, like horror, I don't know, friendship, romantic at this point, and came up with this strange horror romantic idea that it was basically involving this Jig character trying to escape from this demonic horny jail. And so you basically need to try to escape some demons that want you to be a bit too much romantic with you at the point of killing you. So I don't think it will be worth showing because I think this is a family-friendly stream.
We can just put the not safe for work tag.
Okay, we can. No, but I'm not that far. I'm just trying to experiment a bit with the pixel art and to explore if I can actually make things move without losing the shape.
So far you're having sprites for the playing character and for the enemy.
Exactly, I'm doing sprites, but I should actually try to implement a bit of things that I was finding interesting with the enemies. So I was trying to consider using some environment hazards like tentacles trying to slow you down when trying to escape or stuff like that. And yeah, that's all for now. It's just I'm trying to figure out what I'm going for, and it's not my comfort zone.
That's it.
I want to say that, but it can become a comfort zone. Okay.
Do you think you're gonna be able to finish some sprites before 2.5 hours?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm working on the working animation, and I will try to come up at least with the first enemy, like moving around. Yeah, and let's see for the tentacles.
Oh my god!
And you
We are at the second presentation of today. Well, I would still say that it's a good first trial. I think that everybody was happy about today. Chill environment to just try out new stuff.
We got ramen.
We have eaten our ramen, we have learned various things. And then on the suggestion of various people here, I try to a cone of sight system, which is implemented by having a simple circle overlap raycast as the player with some mathematical checks to see if the player is inside the cone, which means that he is not too far away from the center of the cone. It was very easy to implement. And then to make it cooler, since somebody recommended me to make it a stealth game, do you want to play it in the meantime?
Yeah, sure.
I made it dark by adding the lighting system, the 2D lighting system through the URT. And well, this is it.
Is there a goal?
Yeah, survive.
Survive, okay.
No, I didn't put anything like, well, survive but bravely. Go to them. Show to the people at home how they work.
Oh no!
Your character is shine bright like a diamond.
Yeah.
Maybe they should start getting faster. The longer you're in the cone, the faster they get.
Triggered.
It's really similar to a game that exists, but I don't remember.
Writing this, right?
Stealth maybe?
No, Metal Gear Solid.
Well, this is the things we made today. So, for a moment you tricked them.
Dance with me, minions.
That's such an anonymity.
I have a presentation.
You have
Oh, okay, come.
He has a presentation.
He has a presentation too. If you want to show us Unity that he installed for the 4th time.
No, not today.
No, today.
Why not?
And Jay helped me for that.
Great!
Yeah, what the heck is happening here?
Exactly. Now, we need to do a presentation about fundamental stuff.
Why does everyone like
Why Rider is fundamental if you want to code in Unity. Because,
I can do it.
yeah, I perfectly know that you can do it without me. First of all, Rider have a feature that nobody have.
Yes.
So I can show you the difference
Yeah,
between
exactly.
Visual Studio and Rider.
You can
Why Rider is
install add-ons that allow you to have anime girl.
You can have a bigger anime girl.
Yeah, we can have also biggest, but this is fundamental for you.
But the thing is, you can have it in Visual Studio too, so...
Yeah, but this is the best. Sorry.
Yeah, that's better.
They don't have kill. I mean, no, well, why it's really important.
The thing that you have in Rider, and you don't have in anywhere else, is this stuff. Searching everywhere. You're gonna just search for the stuff you're looking for. Like,
obviously, this is an empty project.
yeah,
It's quite
okay,
useless.
test. We have another test, imagine. And you can just Google your test here with just double shift. Also, you have this stuff for serialized field as F. Oops. As F, and you got a serialized field.
Oh, that's cool.
Magic game. Also, all these animators and stuff. And whoop, it's just.
But with Visual Studio, I received the code recommendation either way when I'm writing SER. So why would this be better?
It's faster.
No, probably.
One less letter.
Yeah.
One less letter.
The problem of intelligent Visual Studio is that if you are writing anima and then doing space and coming back and writing like animator, it won't show you. So like if you will put it here in Visual Studio, like probably you won't see it.
We won't, yeah.
Yeah, but like this is the shittiest thing that I hate in Visual Studio the most.
Okay.
It's IntelliSense, because it's like super shitty IntelliSense, and Rider has like 10 times faster, better IntelliSense, exactly for
sexier.
And sexier.
Jay, you know that you're making free advertisement.
Rider have a
That's free.
simplest debugger. The variable tracing in Rider it's way more easy than in Visual Studio.
You just put this thing up.
Yeah.
Breakpoint. Like private.
And
good luck getting a breakpoint on the clear.
also the connection with Unity it's simpler, and if you need to try to test some script, you can run everything from Rider, and you don't need to continue to switch between Unity and Visual Studio, but it's a mess usually. And obviously we filter a system of JetBrains like the memory reader that the memory profiler that is quite interesting.
On Unity you also have a profiler. Why would I want to have it on the...
Now it's
Michele, what do you think? Michele, JetBrains is gonna be the new sponsor of Klagenfurt University.
No, I mean it's free. If you have a student account, it's free, and that's very interesting.
So you can
of course
debug here.
I'm sure
already.
that everybody has stuff.
That's the bugger.
You need to patch it first.
You spend
And
second.
You can also keep track of all the variables during debugging in your
Yeah.
entire program.
Yeah.
And the suggestion is also really useful because, like, when you write, like, you create a custom class with some methods, and you recall the methods from other place. Like, you have the name of every parameter that you insert automatically, and you can easily read. It's so easy to trust everything. Also, like, for example, if you serialize a field, and after you set up some variable, like you set up a variable inside the script, and after you change it in the inspector, you can see how you changed it also inside
So
the script. Like, it's so useful.
Did I just read code GTP?
Yeah, what? Yeah, I have code GTP here. It's an auto-commenter that use GPT.
Another
Explain
really
like the
good
line and
thing
stuff.
That's appreciated.
is this one.
Never use it. I just discovered 1 hour ago.
Control Shift R, it's here. Okay, so you can do whatever you want here. Like
Oh, I need to go.
seconds.
I will lose the bus.
Hello.
But
Sorry. Computers overload are helping you to go home. First practical game lab. Woo! Next one in exactly 2 weeks from now. What are we gonna do? I have no idea yet.
No more dots.
When are we doing it? Now.
Benvenuti all'Italian Critica Game Lab.
Haha, pasta, pizza, mandolino.
Pasta, pizza, peperoni, passata, di pomodoro.
Yeah.